Okay. Let me take a deep breath, you got. Let me take a deep breath, you guys. Hello, welcome to Life Off the Bench, uh, your new favorite podcast, man, where real people talk about real life issues to try and bring you real life solutions. Today's topic, man, is a really sensitive topic and subject matter. Um, it may be it may be a lot of shots thrown. I think, but I think we shouldn't take them personal. I think we should stand up to the question for tonight's topic. Who put the crabs in the barrel is the relative question, and there's fundamentally there has been shall I say a whole lot of talk about culture and a lot of other things. But I say that in order for us to finish the job, in the words of Kobe Bryant, the job isn't finished yet. The job just isn't finished yet. When we look at how far we've come from versus how much further we still have to go, you got to ask some soup questions. Now, soup questions may not be popular, but they're necessary. They're needed. And we learned from finding Forrester that a soup question, when you ask a soup question, it's meant to give you knowledge and wisdom from the subject hints that you're talking about. And that's why tonight's question of who put the crabs in the barrel is essentially super important. And where did the barrel come from? And why can't someone take the crab out of the barrel that keeps pulling people down? Now, when we say take the crab out of the barrel, that doesn't mean exterminate something or someone, because we definitely know that that's what illegal. And we always want to stay within the bounds and boundaries of the law. It's the way you keep yourself free. It's been my life motto my whole entire adult life. Never compromise my freedom for any manner, for any reason. And so when I think about this topic, it honestly pains me because we can be so much further along if we just figure out how to pull the crab out of the barrel. Is this a bad analogy? Pick it like you pick cotton. Just pick the sucker up and get rid of it. But you really have to care about your culture in order to do that. We have so many people that live off antagonistic thoughts and theories till it hurts. It really, really hurts because these are people's lives, feelings, emotions, and thoughts that come into play when we think about this. So, hey, y'all, join the conversation, man. Join the conversation. I think it's nothing wrong with having a healthy debate. Joining us tonight as panelists, as always, Grayson Girl One, teacher coach extraordinaire, Chad Wilson. What up, bro?
Not much. Not a teacher, coach. Just an educator.
And my girl, health and human services specialist, Pipes. What's up, Pipes? Pipes, you gotta take that R off and put an S on there, man. You gotta take that R off and put an S on there, bro.
No, that's the name. Piper.
What's up, my G? How was your
Not
week?
much.
Y'all,
Not
before
much.
we get started, I need y'all to do me one favor. Will y'all please tell Mr. Educator to stop going against me? We were having a healthy debate earlier before we came on to the show. He just won't play fair. He won't do right. Mute yourself, Chad, so I don't have to. Mute yourself so I don't have to. Thank you. Thank you.
That just means this gonna be some bull. Why you gonna tell Chad to mute himself?
Hey, I love the healthy conversations that we have, man. We have some real, like people think it's easy being my friend, man. It's hard being my friend. I challenge
Yes,
you,
it
man.
is. Yes, it is. Oh Lord. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
That's why we ain't friends, Piper.
I understand.
That's why we
We're
ain't friends.
acquaintances. It's
You
hard.
can
It's
never
hard.
be my friend. Nah, just
It's
kidding, y'all.
hard.
Just kidding, y'all.
It's hard.
It's hard but fast, sad but true. Gotta love Hope and Grace and the I almost called my son name. My bad, Junior Scooter. What you being called today, Junior or Scooter? Natural born killer. You a killer on that coat, boy. So hey, let's get started, man. I really struggle with this because I know in keeping with the tradition of life off the bench, we got to keep it a buck. That means that some feelings may have to be hurt, some words may be said that you may not absolutely agree with. But again, all you have to do is this one little thing. Y'all tell them what that is.
Get out the bench. Get in the game.
Hell no. Oh yeah, that too. Get in the game, baby. Join the conversation. Chad, let's get some thoughts from you, and then Piper, you go, and then Grace and Girl One, you go on the relative thoughts of who put the crab in the barrel only.
So the adage, who put the crabs in the barrel, who put the crabs in the barrel? I don't think it really matters who put the crabs in the barrel at this juncture, this point, like right now. I think the challenge is now that we're in the barrel, what are we gonna do? Because I'm gonna be very brief. Like we can't control. We only can control what we can control.
That's right.
And so, old coach told me, "Said, so what? Now what? So what? We're in the barrel. Now what are we gonna do?" So I think that the challenge or the question is, in relation to the culture, is so what? We're in the barrel. Now what is it that we're gonna do? We're in this situation, whatever the situation may be. We're in here. So what are we gonna do as a culture as it relates to getting out of the barrel? How are we gonna operate? How are we gonna conduct ourselves? How are we gonna prosper in this? So I think the question is, so what? We're in the barrel now. What are we gonna do?
Great thoughts. Pipe.
Hey, I think this is a real thought provoking topic. I really believe it's all about who we're around. Because it depends on what situation you're in. Um, just have to figure out because how to handle the situation because of the person you're around, because not everybody is trying to keep you or put you in the barrel. It's a certain type of person. It's a certain type of person that wants to keep everybody else down, wants to do what they can to keep pulling everybody else down instead of wanting to see them rise. So I think I answered the question. This is real thought provoking.
Definitely thought provoking. Let me get that scripture. I know you're going to lead with a scripture. That's who you is.
What if I ain't had no scripture? Y'all be
Man,
wondering.
I saw you up there working. I saw you up there working, and I know you found a parable to go with this topic.
Amos 3, I think it's 1 or 2 says, "How can two walk together except they be in agreement?" And
That's
when
right.
you have a crab mentality, or when there's a lot of crabs in the bucket, everybody got to have the same mentality.
Laser appointment. That's our results.
Ooh, who need a laser appointment? I don't know. But when you
I'm
have
sorry.
that crab in the bucket mentality, everybody in the bucket got to want to get out.
That's right.
And so that's where my scripture comes. How can two walk together except they be in agreement? And if we ain't all in agreement, that's how we bring ourselves to our own demise. And kind of like Deborah said, it depends on the people you're around. If you're around people that talk negative all the time, they ain't never got nothing good to say. They don't never see a way out of no way. Instead of seeing the glass as half full, they always see it half empty. You will talk yourself into a situation that you may never get out of. And then to piggyback off what Chad said, it don't really matter who put them in the bucket. But the real question is, how do we get out the bucket? How do we help one another to get out the bucket? Because if I eat and I feed you and you feed somebody else, then it should be like a chain effect, a group of dominoes falling. And the supply should never run endless. But so if one crab crawls out the bucket, then the rest of them say, "Hey, Chad just crawled out that bucket. Can I crawl out the bucket? Let me see if I can crawl out the bucket." But instead, our mentality is that we don't want to see anybody else get ahead of us. So we pull them back down. And that's a destructive mentality. And it's all in the mind, the thought process. Scripture number 2, let this mind be in you, which is also in Christ Jesus. And so when we retrain our mindset to a whole mindset, the partiality of the few don't matter. And when I say the partiality of the few don't matter, that if you don't feel like you can get out after enough of us show you what we can do, then you're going to get on the train and say, well, shoot, if all them got out, I must be able to get out too. And that's what we have to learn how to do, is to change the mindset, the thought process of the people that's in the bucket. Give them a different picture to look at.
Man, one of the reasons why I absolutely love history is because of stick-to-itness. It's not a term you hear very much anymore, but our ancestors definitely had stick-to-itness. They knew how to, can I use a boxing analogy? They knew how to take a blow. They knew how to take a gut shot, or as much as it hurted them to bear and grit it, they knew how to take the slap in the face and stay calm, stay composed. They not only knew, but they understood. New school analogy? May I? They knew how and they understood the assignment to break barriers. How do we get back to that culture is the question. Pipes?
I think we have to understand that we're all in this together. And when one gets out, instead of being jealous, because there is jealousy involved, that's why you keep pulling them down. When one gets out, reach out. What did you do? How can I do that, XYZ? And 9 times out of 10, if the one that got out reaches back, he's going to pull somebody else out. But it's all about communication. That's the key right there. Communication. You got to be able to communicate.
So you ask how can we get back to the stick-to-itness of our ancestors? I think one of their strongest attributes was that they had faith. They had faith that things were gonna get better. And then maybe because they maybe figured they couldn't get any worse. So I think faith played a tremendous part in how they had that stick-to-itness. So as it relates to us, do we have generations of people who have hopes of something better? Do they actually have hope in some amidst all of the crazy things that we see around here and the unrest and chaos? Do they have hopes for something better? Do they have a vision for their life? Do they have a plan for their life? And whenever they see that vision and they create this plan, do they stick to the plan? And even if the plan doesn't go exactly as as authored, will they make adjustments, or will they, give up? You think about those who, quote unquote, what we think to be have made it or made it out or whatever. If you're one of those persons or whatever, how do you reach back, or do you reach back? Do you remember where you came from, and are you willing to educate those who, like I said, quote unquote, been left behind? Are you willing to educate them on how to bring themselves out?
That's right.
And then if you're one of those people who sees someone who you believe to have made it out, do you have enough, I don't even know what you would call it, enough of it to ask them, hey, how did you go about doing this? Would you please share that information with me? Or are you intuitive enough to sit back and just observe and listen, be a fly on the wall sometimes when these types of conversations are taking place, of how people, I'll give you an example. I didn't learn about like life insurance until I really listened to people having conversations about it and how a person like me could benefit from it, or the people I leave behind would benefit from it. But you have to ask questions, and you have to be willing to listen. Is this something that you want for your life? So I think we're talking about how did they have this stick-to-itness? I believe it began with their faith, and then whenever they developed a plan, they followed through with the plan, and then made adjustments as situations arise.
So okay, so y'all gonna have me on these scriptures all night, right? So Chad just said a mouthful right there. It was based upon their faith and belief. If Lil John was a blacksmith, then they trusted his skills as a blacksmith. If Hobart was one of the best field hands to pick cotton, pick corn, wheat, whatever it was they was picking, he could pick his fast and get his bag. Then they picked on his speed. If I worked, I wouldn't have been in the house. If Anise worked in the house, then they relied on Anise's ability to be able to get the information out of what was going on so that they could make the plan work together. And so Hebrews 11:1 says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. They couldn't see the end, but they had enough faith to believe that they could get to the end if they worked together as one unit. It wasn't 50 different people and everybody got their own idea. And if you don't do what I say do, or I don't do what he say do, or she say do, then we ain't gonna get nothing accomplished. And so wisdom is a smart thing for people to have, because my people perish for a lack of knowledge. And that knowledge comes with it leaves behind also a lack of understanding. Understanding how if one could put 1,000 to flight, then two could put 10,000 to flight. And the building principle, like I tell people all the time, so security math is not 1 + 1 = 2. So security got their own mathematical system. If Chad was in the classroom teaching, he'd tell the kids 1 + 1 = 2, 2 × 2 = 4, and so forth and so on. So when we come up with the plan, if the executor is the one that has the most knowledge about the subject, then we all come on the same page and listen to what the executor is saying, and then we add our 2 cents in. I watched the TikTok, I think it was this week, where the young man said he began to get knowledge on how to start businesses, how to do these different things. And he said once he got it together and he started making his money, then he would go and get 5 or 6 of his family members, and they would have a strategy meeting, impact meeting. And he would tell them, okay, this is what we're going to do. And everybody going to get money. And once they get established and they get set up, then they go get 5 more people and they teach them the same principle. So it's about teaching principles to people who are willing to learn. Now, if you ain't willing to learn, then I ain't gonna say you're a lost cause, but we're gonna have to wait till your mindset get on the same page as our mindset, because sometimes you can't bring everybody along.
That's right.
And that's where the crab in the barrel mentality comes, because you feel like you why you ain't tell me, or why you ain't put me on. Well, I can't put you on if you want me to do all the work and you sit back and look and you just gain from it. It only works if everybody that gets put on gets the same treatment. They do the same work. They got to put the work in.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Well, well, well. Well, well, well. Hi, Cole. How's your day? I'm gonna give you a question, Cole, from the Facebook post. I'm gonna give you a quote, a question. I'm sorry, from the Facebook post that I made earlier this week.
Okay.
The response says, "Cause we ain't stick together, cause we ain't never been taught how to stick together to win, and we all win, and look like it ain't never gonna happen." When you know, long time ago when they said "ain't" wasn't a word, but it's so powerful. Sometimes the 4 little words can destroy the village. Let 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 let's have you talk about this from a point of from a point of ain't never been taught.
Wow. I'm so glad you chose that for me. um, I would have to disagree because the very principle and foundation in which people of color, black and brown bodies, um, were brought together is that we were taught to work together because we were all we had was each other. From the very time that our foot off the shores, we were taught to work together. There was no me without you. I could not think of myself without thinking of you and yours. If I did not eat, then you did not eat. And if I ate, then you ate. Um, and so with that, we built together. Families migrated from the South together. And if I may, I'd like to give a personal experience. And that is my father was born in 1926. And my father migrated to the north from the south on a weekend. His cousin was hired in a steel mill here in Chicago. And he found out that they were hiring. And he drove home to Mississippi on the weekend. And one by one, he brought all his cousins to Chicago because they were hiring. And together, they built their family here in Chicago, in Illinois, in the North, by bringing a better future one to another. And I said that to say is we were taught that. We were taught basic principles. We were taught that if you needed a cup of sugar, you go next door. If you needed a cup of milk, if your baby needed milk, if your family needed some cornbread, I said that intentionally. So, if your baby needed a word of God, if you needed Bible study, if you needed a way to church, if you, oh, come on, glory somebody. So, the selfish me, I principle is new. And we did that to ourselves because we said, I got mine, you get yours. Because we got ourselves a little book learning. But when we knew how to use the sweat of our brow, we reached and we helped each other. That is basic biblical principle. And somehow we veered away from that when we thought that what was between the books was better than what we got from on high. Oh, come on, somebody. Come on, somebody. Come on, somebody. I'm feeling good. See, you shouldn't have woke me up. I would have stayed all right now. You wouldn't have got a sermon this afternoon. I need you to bring the little white envelopes and walk around, walk around, walk around, walk around. But I would have to disagree. And when we say ain't, that's right there, reaching back to where we came from. And if you look at how we even had land, in the north as well as in the south, we had land and we would build homes and make spaces and make places. If you think about now, we make room for everyone. So I don't know who wrote it. I'm just reading it. I don't know who wrote it. But we seem to make room for everyone and we reach back for everyone. We may not like them, but we're going to always love them. So I don't know if that's a long around answer to the question, but I seem to believe that is true. So what has happened now is the values, morals, and thinking or knowing how to think to make it and sustainability in our society has somehow gotten lost because we've missed some basic principles on economics. That may be how we ain't been taught, but we were taught if we paid attention. But we so busy looking at the man or the woman in the mirror.
Hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. Man, I want to bring you a perspective from the same question. I think.
Oh, I'm on a roll because I had to think about my parents, and I have to give all hail to my foreparents, even my 96-year-old grandmother who tells the story of how she went 7 years without a coat so her child could have an education. That's how we looked out for one another, and how she continuously brought over. If you didn't have anything to eat, you knew there were homes and places and spaces in the neighborhood where you could feed. And even the people sitting on this panel, you knew whose home you can go in for the night, whose home you can go in for a meal, whose home you can go in to get cleaned up, whose home you can go in to borrow some clothes, whose home you can go in just to find peace, to be loved on, to be spoken a word into. So you knew how to make it. So now what's missing now is I don't know what, because there are still those very people that exist in this community because we are the lineage and the legacy of those very forefathers and our ancestors. So if it got lost, maybe it got lost on the individual that responded, and no touche. So maybe I might get slammed, maybe I'm not, but I'm not afraid. These 11s hold me down. As the kids say, I'm 10 toes down. Hey, hey, 10 toes down.
Grace and girl, Grace and girl. I want you to ponder this and respond, please, and think about it for a second before you respond. Um, in the olden, golden, good old days, when our ancestors couldn't read, couldn't write, um, hell, let's just be honest, they couldn't even have their own thoughts. They were visual learners. They were visual teachers. That's how they taught others how to do things and or escape things and to find their own self. From that aspect, when did seeing stuff and seeing things are different from what you learned or what you were taught, and then saying, okay, this seems different, better, more than what I know to be true, what I knew to be true. From that perspective, why can't we grow from just, and because we conversate a lot about a million different topics all the time. But I've always said that the things I learned growing up in the hood and in the project had absolutely nothing to do with being a man. And so as an adult, I had to watch some people who I thought were the epitome of men and learn life, what it meant to be an adult all over again as an adult. Once I came out of my mental trauma that I was going through then, give us a perspective on that, please.
When I was a child, I thought like a child. And when I became an adult, I thought like an adult, and I put away childish behaviors. And sometimes when things appear to be one way to us, because we don't have the full knowledge of it just by looking at it, even though that's what our ancestors used to be able to get by in life. My granddad had a third grade education. He couldn't read, he could write a little bit, but yet he owned his own business. And it was profitable. He did very well in life. He was successful. I don't remember seeing them pick cotton or work on the plantations, but I heard them say that they did. So I'm going to assume that was before we arrived. I know that my great grandmother and great grandfather worked on the plantation, but it's like a niece said, we knew that we were all we had or what we had. And if I got it, you got it. And now we've changed our mindset and our thinking to, I got to get mine. I'm gonna get mine. I got mine. Now you got to get yours. And so when we get educated and we get our PhDs, our master's degrees, our bachelor's degrees, we think that we have arrived, but we haven't arrived if we continue to leave those behind that don't have access to what we have availability to. And so you say access and availability is the same thing. No, access grants you a way into something. Availability means that you already, all you got to do is take it because it's there. And so when all we had to do was watch, because we couldn't vote, we couldn't learn how to read or write. And God forbid, if you talked about you knew how to read or write, you would be punished. And so now that we've arrived at this place where we can do all this stuff and can't nobody take this away from me, we forgot about the people that didn't have the access to get this stuff. We don't want to teach anybody else for fear that they may get ahead of us. And God forbid if somebody else gets ahead of me. It was my desire when I went back to college as an adult, a mom, disabled husband, disabled child, learning disabled child, 2 grandchildren before my daughter was even out of high school, and I worked a full-time job and I went to school. It was my desire then that I was going to go and get my PhD. And I did good till I got up into that master's degree. And I didn't realize that the PhD wasn't important, but it was no longer necessary for me. It wasn't necessary if I get a PhD and I can't help my brother, my biological brother, get to the place where he's trying to go, and I got all this knowledge. Because one thing when we were brought up was, my mom used to say, if one fight, all fight. And so that meant nobody better not be fighting and you at home talking about they down there fighting. Because the question was going to be, why are you here? And you was going to get a whooping. And so when we learn that we're stronger together than we ever will be apart, nobody or nothing can separate us. Because that each one teach one mentality and principle will be a lasting effect. We won't be worried about meeting our cousin Nuck and Peanut at the family reunion, at the funeral, because we'll already have known them before we get to that point. We'll already have met them because we've been teaching each other this, the generations. Anise knows about her family history because somebody decided it was important that she knew where they came from. I heard somebody say it's not important where you came from, but where you going. No, if you don't know where you came from, you may not have a destination in sight. You may be eternally lost. So in order to get to where you're going, you got to know where you came from. It's a two-way street, going and coming.
Ooh, boy, you said a lot right there. We probably should all be hand clapping from that response, because that was a wealth of knowledge. And again, in this process, man, of just having the conversation and then people joining in, I think that adage is, and it's scripture, well, when we know better, we should do better.
Right.
Pipes, they knew better. They learned better. They knew better. They did better. Where did the breakdown happen, Pipes?
I believe it's a generational thing. We knew, we were taught, but for some odd reason, not all people, not all parents or individuals in a certain age group dropped the ball. No matter, even though they were taught. Case in point, I taught my daughter certain things. But the things I taught her, she didn't teach her children. So the ball was dropped with her. My mother taught me. I taught her. If we as a people don't continue to pass it on, you got to figure out where the disconnect is. And I can say on this side, the disconnect was my daughter, if that makes any sense. And so I find her children reaching back, asking me things that they should already know, but she didn't tell them. So it just all depends. Again, I still go back to communication. If one is not willing, if one's not willing to help the other, not willing to teach the other, as April said, reach one, teach one. If they're not willing to do that, then that crab in the barrel mentality is just going to continue. It's just going to continue.
Thank you, Pipes, on that assessment. Great job. Hey, Chad. Hey, educator. Man, I want. Piper said some stuff that kind of touched the nerve. You come from a big family, Chad. A lot of cousins, a lot of uncles, a lot of aunties. We again, like Grace and Girl One, you and I have had a million conversations about a million different topics. And one of the people that always sticks out when we talk about family and culture and history is your uncle that lives in Mississippi. That's the judge. You always talk about how strong his faith and belief is in building family. What have you learned from him? Because he got a few days under his belt, and you're one of the next generation of leaders in your family. And I've always been a firm believer that once the older generation has done their job, now it's time for some of the younger guys to step up and pick up the torch and not be afraid to walk in success and carrying that torch and passing on generational heritage and history. How do we get the younger generation to care about passing on that? Well, first you got to learn the knowledge, learn your family history and genealogical line. How do you get there?
Well, as it relates to my uncle, he's a walking history book. And so that's why it's so important, or it was important for me to sit back and listen, to who begot who and who did this and who did that, who was responsible for our family acquiring this and being able to do that, who made the certain sacrifices, who took advantage of those sacrifices, what did they do, and then how did they give back to the family. My uncle, he's a very knowledgeable man. He's a very wise man. He accomplished a lot of different things. He gave back a lot. He came to the aid of a lot of people in my family, but he also he wasn't the one that just you better, you need. He explained why and what we should and what would be expedient to do. So I guess in other words, he in some respects is the cornerstone of the community of our family. and even in some ways our community, because when I think about what community means, it means to live together with a common interest or a common goal. And when we talk about what are we missing, I think sometimes we're missing the common interest and the common goal. Is the breakdown. So my uncle has always listened. He also listens. He listens to our challenges in life. Tries to impart some wisdom as it relates to present day. He's current too. He's present day issues. He's current. And he don't and he doesn't have he's not afraid to say he don't know. So someone who's gonna really be honest and open. And so with all that being said, you're talking about passing things down. Um, I guess you could call them elder cousins. Um, we listen and we try to impart that to our kids and be, like I said, and be, I guess, try to emulate in some ways him, who he is. Try to be current, and just carry on the family heritage, so that everyone in our family has an opportunity to be the best version of themselves that they could be, the most prosperous version of ourselves, um, and just do well in all aspects of life. Not just tangible things, but intangible things, spiritual things. Uh, that's what he's given me. I know.
Awesome. We think about most of us in our everyday lives, in our everyday walk, we think about, or try to at least think about, building success, building wealth, figuring out a way to incorporate the things that we learned as children into our children, as all of you have said. Uh, but what about fear of succeeding? Even Pipe said other people sometimes don't want you to succeed, so they'll pull you. They'll grab you and pull you down. But what happens when you're the one that's being the crab in the barrel because you're afraid to succeed? Because in life, most of the times, when people see that you know more and you do more, they expect you can do more. They expect more from you. They expect more of you. Cole, how do you handle that situation in a building and taking away fear of one's own success?
May I just please repeat to ensure that I have the question correctly? How does one remove the individual or personal fear that they have of succeeding based upon other people's expectations or their own
No.
expectations?
So once someone on your job, when your immediate supervisor sees that you can handle 7 clients in a day, she says, "Well, golly geez, Anise handled 7 clients in a day. I'm gonna see if she can do 7 again tomorrow, and then I'm gonna see if she can do 7 again tomorrow, and then when Monday again rolls around, she says, well, let me push the envelope just a little bit more. I'm going to give her 9 clients this week, all this week. So she saw that you could do more. And so now she's giving you more because now the expectation level changed.
Mhm.
And sometimes we're afraid to succeed and we become our own crab by not giving our best effort or our best work in order to become more successful. Fear of success.
So what's the question? I don't hear a problem.
The question is the problem. How,
Um,
how,
you
how,
know,
how, how do you change that mentality?
well, you know what? I sort of snickered because and not in one of just get to it, but it really is that simple because I don't know, maybe this show was self-fulfilling prophecy on today because I remember being told early on in my life, and I shared this, um, and I pray this helps somebody. On my
Facts.
18th birthday, life is an attitude. And the attitude that you have, positive or negative, is the one that is going to carry you. You know, um, the fear of success is the enemy. It's a trick from the pit. And we carry that for a number of reasons. Probably too long for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 shows. We carry that because oftentimes we take off our focus. So instead of us looking to give God the glory from which our strength comes from and our help comes from, and when we give him the glory, we can do all things through him. So whether you give me 7, 9, 10, 11, and then give me the ability to speak to what it is that I'm humanly able to do until he says enough is enough and it's time for you to stop doing 7, 9, 10, 11 for them and do it for you to give me the glory. Come on, somebody, for entrepreneurship. Anyway, um but he will not put more on you than you can bear. So I don't have to fear anything because he has not given me the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And so with that, I don't have to have that fear. And so it takes us surrounding ourselves. And I understand our show is the crab in the barrel mentality, but even in that barrel, all those crabs not pulling you down. All of them are not.
Facts.
And so what you have to do is you have to recognize the company you keep. You have to recognize who it is and why you're doing there. And sometimes we have taken off our eyes and our attitude from where we give glory. And so what comes from the heart reaches the heart. So if our heart is not the heart that belongs to God to give him glory, then we do become fearful. And it's that false evidence appearing real instead of forwarding all of everything to God in faith and saying, okay, God, you wouldn't have brought me to it if I couldn't make it through it. So therefore, I'm going to be able to do this. And if I can't, just like you gave me this, you're going to move me up, give me a swerve move to where I'm going to be in a situation that's just for me. Just for me. And so what happens is we get that, oh, I got this. I better hold on to this good job. Because if I move out of this, I don't know. I don't know. You don't know. And it's not your plans to know, but you know that he has plans to prosper you, plans for your hope, and plans for your future. So you don't have to worry about that. And so, how do we remove that fear mentality? That's anxiety. If I step into my little mental health, not little, I got that from my husband. If we step into the mental health arena, the anxiety is the gloom and the doom and the what ifs and the I can't make it and what if this happened? What if stay in the right here, right now. When you all the way down the block, then you lose all this is happening right here. And so you miss the presence, and the present is a gift. And I'm going to read the record of what's happening right here. So if I'm doing this 7 today and God is giving me favor and I'm working and I'm doing my best to give him glory in what it is that he has assigned me to do today, I know that it's not my boss that's assigning me to more, because it says, if I do well, come on, April, if I do well in this right here, he's going to enlarge and increase my territory and make me ruler over what? Much. So I don't have to have that fear. And maybe it doesn't mean that sometimes I don't go, okay, God, what's going on? What's on? But that's the peace. That's relationship. And maybe that was again, that's a long answer to a short question.
No,
So
it's your answer.
so the practical part of that is take off what you can chew and have a conversation with the master for the rest. Because sometimes you can't chew it all because it wasn't meant for you to have a mouth to it. Sometimes you got to bite that elephant one piece at a time.
GG1. GG1. We just learned how to get over the fear of success. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, man, help me out. The pastor said earlier today, anxiety is present.
Anxiety is the stuff that you presently worrying about. Depression is the stuff from the past, and we keep allowing it to overtake us. That's why we can't get out of where we're at. Pretty much, that wasn't exactly how he said it, but that's the precept of what he said. And in order to um, get to where God is trying to take us to get rid of that crab mentality, he one thing he said was, so they've been in this old church, and the church is really old. I've been in the church, like it needs a lot of updates, but they were faithful there. We've been faithful in this church, and we were believing God for another church, and God has finally brought that thing to pass. But we still working, we still operating in the old when we need to be working on the new. And so we can't even get to the new because we can't let go of what's back here. We were thankful for what we had back here, but we know in order to press toward the mark, to get to the high calling, to get to the next level, to get to the next place, we got to do something different. And so that means everybody got to pull in. Everybody got to put in their share, put in their time, put in their money, put in their work. Everybody got to pick up a paintbrush. I remember when I'm say Pastor niece at this time, when they were when she got her call to become the pastor of the church that she's at, they were doing a lot of work, moving chairs from here to there, because we had just came. No, we were still in COVID. We were still in COVID, but we were kind of doing like a little face-to-face interaction. So there was still some stuff that they needed to do. And I saw her and Alfred both moving together. She didn't say, well, I'm the pastor. I ain't supposed to do nothing. Y'all better get to work. No, she put on her work clothes and she jumped right in with them. And so sometimes everybody got to put on the same work clothes and jump in and do what needs to be done. And so if I could, we talk about having faith to accomplish those things that you don't know you can accomplish. What about when fear overwhelms you and you're afraid to try to accomplish that stuff? You know, even though I'm doing 7 patients a day, but I don't know if I can take on a little more. And everybody else around you, Deborah tells a story all the time that when we worked at Health and Human Services, and she know when we were in training, I should say, I don't know if I'm gonna do this because I don't know if I'm gonna be able to ask these person the right questions. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to know if they're telling the truth or if they lying, if they're making this stuff up, or whatever. And then we go through a phase of training where they call OJT, where we do mock interviews. And my trainer said, "You said you weren't gonna know how to do what?" Well, I didn't know how to do it when I didn't do it, but when I had to do it, it was like it was second nature. And so we get on the floor, and all of a sudden we go from working one case a day, we had one case in the morning, one in the afternoon. And for us, we thought that was a lot. But unbeknownst to us, they were giving us more every day. Until they finally reached the point, you gonna go on same day, next day, you gonna get your full workload. And we looking at each other like, what just happened? How we even get here? See, sometimes other people can see what's inside of you that's necessary to build you to who you need to become, and you can't even see it in yourself. And so when you allow fear to overcome you, you get frozen in the moment. But when you do what Anise said, have a little talk with Jesus, and he'll let you know everything is going to be all right. God, I can't see how I'm going to do all this today. I'm just barely handling 7 patients. How's she going to give me 9 patients? I just barely can make it through one interview. And they want me to do same day, next day. Lord, there'd be 20 people coming in here talking about they need benefits today. And he said, you can do all things through me who gives you strength. Because I am. And so sometimes that's what I find myself saying, I am. How you going to do this today? Because it's not because April got it all together or she's figured out every piece, every nook, every cranny. But sometimes I have to call on some friends. And we have to work it out together.
Man, who had pipes?
Yes.
Pipes.
Yes.
Again, more learning about fear of success and how to change that fear from winning to giving and showing adoration for one's success.
That's within. I tell people all the time, my Shiro is my mother. And right to this day, I don't know how she did it. My mama worked 2 full-time jobs, raised 6 kids, and went to school. I don't know how she did it. I don't. But I learned later on, it was by the grace of God. Because for one, she was never out of pocket for anything. She never owed anybody anything. She turned left and somebody said, here, take this. She turned right, somebody said, I got something else for you. She was so determined. She was so determined. She made up in her mind, nothing is going to stop me. And so with this made up mind, she was able to overcome every obstacle that she came across. True enough, you're going to have people to come along. But when God is in the picture, none of those obstacles are going to matter. And so when she tell people she worked 2 full-time jobs, and I know she did, because I was just trying to figure out how come you never home. When she tell people she worked 2 full-time jobs and went to school, they don't believe. But she backdoors and said, I knew what I was going to do when I was 8 years old. I knew I was going to be a nurse when I was 8 years old. I don't know. I ain't got no money. I don't have no money. Watch this. And every turn she made, somebody was there. It was a made up mind with the Lord in mind. God did all that. So I think you have to have, it's something you have to have within. Everybody on here has made up their mind that they're going to do something. They made up their minds what their goals were going to be. Everybody on here. It was a personal goal for me to get a master's. It was a personal thing. That was something inside me. Nobody else. And once I got it, okay, I said, what can I do next? I'm happy. So it's a made up mind. You can't let anybody hold you down. You can't. You can, but if you have a made up mind, you're not. I guess I answered your question, or else opened another can. I'm not sure.
All right, let's see if Chad has another can to open.
So as I'm sitting back listening to everybody speak, it brings to me a scripture, Romans 12. It says in 2, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is good and acceptable and perfect will of God. I think about that. Like, I think we just need to change our mindset. Our mindset, like embracing challenges instead of worrying about whether I'm gonna be successful. I don't know. I don't think I've ever been fearful of success. I may have been more fearful of failure, but also, like one of the old coaches said, we was too ignorant to give up. You know, we didn't know. We didn't know anything but keep pressing. Hey, I'm gonna keep pushing, and I'm gonna prove everybody wrong. But I think it's a mindset. Like, we have to have a mindset that I don't want to like keep restating what everybody else is restating, but that where your strength comes from, where your source comes from, and for all the believers, we know our source comes from the Lord. So we just got to change how we think, and when we change how we think, then we could change how we move. We could change how we press, how we push, how we go about doing things, and how we and then too how to handle success. Because sometimes some people don't even know how to handle success. Some people don't know how to handle a compliment. Some people don't know how to handle great things. They're so used to fault and failure and distress. They're comfortable in that because it's all around them. But I think if we renew our mind, right, and understand the will of God, then handling success, handling great things will be a whole lot easier. And man, and it'll make. And then whenever you're handling this success, you can pull other people because you'll be an example to them.
So as we think about our crabs in the barrel, right? So when we understand, right? So we've looked at it from where our help comes from and how to be successful. And it's evident from all of our answers that we are all believers. Amen. Give me a nod. Give me a nod. Give me a hey, high five. Hey,
Yeah.
Anise gonna bring that energy, right? So, hey, ho. The question then becomes in our communities, how do we galvanize? How do we shine our lights? How are we the light? How do we move in a way that others get encouraged by our presence? Chad.
One, be an example. Be the example that you want others to be. Then bring one along. I just had a meeting with some of my coaches. I have with my community football team, and one of my aims and goals for this upcoming season is to bring along a young coach so he could see not just one aspect that they're used to, that they're comfortable with, but also see the inner workings of things so they can have a greater understanding of how an organization works. All right? And when they have a greater understanding of how the organization works, then it will empower them it will empower them in every aspect of everything. They will want to take the helm. They will want to be assertive and and take on different duties that's unfamiliar to them right now. So I think that's the way that we need to commune, get together in a common interest, because a lot of people want things, but they don't know how to go about doing or getting it or acquiring it, or whatever it is. So we have to bring somebody along. We have to show them, hey, this is the ins and outs. And guess what? And we have to listen too, because there may be a more efficient way to go about doing things. And each one teach one. Let's move together, in the same direction towards that goal.
Piper,
Yes.
same question.
Mm. How do we get our light shine to shine?
Yeah, how do we move that forward?
Oh wow. I guess I have to ride with Chad and just say by teaching. Um, I'm not afraid to answer questions, difficult questions when people say ask certain things, and I don't mind saying I can show you if you like. I don't mind. I don't mind them saying, "Well, can I come back and ask you some questions later on?" I don't mind. I guess in order to make our light shine so people know, one of the things is we have to be available to teaching. I want to say teaching. I might be wrong, but being open and honest, letting them know, okay, if I did this, and this is what it took. I got a little lady come by my house all the time. And she said, I didn't know that. You are so smart. You are so smart. She doesn't, and she said, well, okay, well, can I come back? Can I come back? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You sure can. I don't mind. We have to be able to say, I don't mind. I don't mind. I'll show you. But we have to let them know that we are available. We have to let them know who we are.
April, how do you, in building on what it is Chad and Deborah shared, um, when we make ourselves available, at what point do you say enough? You should know by now. You should be off milk.
So, in the biblical setting, we talk about a person going from a babe to an adult spiritually, from drinking milk to eating meat. And it's just as a child when they grow up. You teach them this at this phase. At this phase, you start teaching them this. And as they get older, you add a little more on to the plate. It's kind of like what we've been saying all along. Sometimes everybody's not ready at the same time. So you can't just push everybody out at the same time, expecting them to be able to do the same thing. Scripture says, for it is in him who we live, move, and have our being. That's him is Jesus Christ. And so when we allow him to be the head of our life, he will give us just what we need in the right moment, in the right time, to be able to progress forward, as will he do for others, so that we don't push them too far out. Sometimes we can push people out too far and they're not ready, and we turn them away. They retreat and run or go back. So as a person, we have to be able to tell When a person is ready to go to their next step, when they're ready to come off of baby food and go to a little more solid food, maybe, from applesauce to maybe you give them a little pot liquor and cornbread.
I
You know,
love cornbread. Come on now.
how we progress them. We as a person, we have to be able to do that, and you can't do it based on how fast you go. One thing I was always trying to tell my kids when they were getting ready to go to college, so you don't experience burnout, don't look at the next person. If they can get their bachelor's degree in 3 years, so be it. That's for them. That's not necessarily for you. If it take you 6 years, boy, it took me 10 years to get that first bachelor's degree, trying to do all that stuff like Deborah said her mama was doing. But I couldn't focus on what anybody else was doing. I had to only focus on what was on my plate. Because if I try to eat too much at one time, guess what it was going to cause me to do? Choke.
Yeah.
And then I was going to have to regurgitate all that up and possibly start over. And so you don't want to have to cause people to falter along the way, but you want them to be consistent in where they're going and how they get there. So when they get there, they can come back and reach somebody else and say, hey, let me help you. Somebody help me, now let me help you.
All right. Hobart?
Man, hi, Sissy.
How are you?
I'm great.
So the question is, how do you provide guidance to those around you when they're looking for understanding and knowledge and wisdom, as you are a light to them?
Great question. Great question. Everyone knows that I'm a high school sports junkie, and I also mentor young kids. And one of the first things that I tell them is, from a perspective of leadership, you have to lead from the front. You can't lead from the rear, because leading from the rear, now you have to scream. No one can hear you. No one is willing to open their ears and hear you if they can't see you leading from the front. Leadership is a gift or a dish best served with action. I can't expect you guys to follow my lead if I'm hiding all. Follow me. Don't do what I say. But at some point, we have to open our hearts, open our minds, be willing to fail, because you learn more in failure than you do in success, because now you think that everything is easy. Now you think that everything is just going to come to you and fall into your arms, and you think that you've created a win. Well, no, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. You got to lose to win. The best team doesn't always win. The worst team doesn't always lose. But be consistent. Be consistent in your loving. Be consistent in your caring. Be consistent in your empathy. Be consistent in your sympathy. Be consistent in being the same person. Simply be consistent. And that's a process that people can, it's a tangible thing that people can see. It's a tangible thing, just like an orange, a banana, or a grape. It can be peeled. You can peel a grape, but it's still gonna be the same purple grape or green grape that you like? You have to peel a pomegranate to get inside to get the beautiful berries. But if you don't peel it, are your teeth strong enough to get inside and bite through the core to get the goodness of it? No. So sometimes you got to cut some things out to get to the good stuff. I'm going to say that again because some of y'all don't want to hear it, because some people don't want to do better. Some people don't want to be better. Sometimes you have to cut some things out, X some things, 86 some things. What was the one we used today? File 13 it. You got file 13 that thing. Because sometimes the hull, even though it's hard on the outside, it has goodness on the inside. We know growing up that I don't know a kid growing up that loved Crunch Berries. But once you acquire the taste for Crunch Berries is leadership. Once you acquire the taste for it, now you can lead from the front, you can bring people along, and everybody can enjoy success. Everybody can enjoy not only financial wealth, but all the other wealth building adages that there is. And that just comes from a process of wanting to be better. After want to not, we in old terms or new terms. After want to not pull a son of a gun down. I wanted to say something else so bad. I think though that last week I used too many.
Oh, your mule, because yeah.
Last week I think I used too many
You gonna go back to timeout today. Hold your mule.
No, we're not going to timeout. We're not going to timeout. Captain Crunch are not gross. Thank you very much. The Crunch Berries are the truth. Crunch Berries is an acquired taste. You know, when we were growing up, what them cereal? King Vitamins. Nobody liked King Vitamins growing up. If you from where we from, you know what King Vitamins are. But you acquired the taste, and then you became like, I couldn't wait to get those King Vitamins. Or was that just me? Hey, you guys, thank you guys, man, for joining us. I took a few notes of some stuff that just stuck with me. One is faith. To not be a crab in the barrel, you got to have faith in yourself. You got to have faith in your circle. You got to have faith in your team. And watch this right here. You got to even have faith that the people are screwed up, that they're going to be just as screwed up. Because again, why? They don't want to know any better. They don't have the definition to understand that they have lack of knowledge. The quickest way to destroy yourself is be unknowledgeable. Thank you for that one, brother. Also, you need faith that you can turn your situation around. Don't be afraid to turn your situation around. I was inside that bottle. And screaming to God to come out. And guess what? He heard me. 20 years sober. 20 years sober.
So thankful, y'all. He had me on bended knee.
You gotta have faith.
Woo!
Fighting together for the betterment of us as a race of people, as an ethnicity, as a culture. Me and my sister talk about this all the time. Asians, Chinese, Latinos, Hispanics, Filipino, Vietnamese, Caucasians. All of these people aren't afraid to grow together. But what are we being called now, y'all?
African Americans.
In the African American community, you got to struggle out there alone. We send our kids graduate from high school, and some parents say, "Get the hell out." I did my job. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Still don't know how to wipe their butt right. They don't know how to pay bills. They don't know how to choose an apartment. They don't get a start. You damn sure didn't leave them no money to get started with. How do they learn? That's some of the things that are required to not be crabs in the barrel. One, don't throw your children in the wind, and then it's all kind of obstacles in their way. But then when they go to selling drugs, well, how did they get there? You put them there. You put them there. You put them in harm's way because you didn't give them a fair chance to succeed, learn how to succeed and be successful. I fuss my hind part off. Everybody know me know I'm a fusser. I ain't gonna kill nothing and I ain't gonna let nothing die though. I'm gonna try to help mine figure out their best way for them in the things that they love or love to do to be successful. I watch my big sis and my co-host. I can't stand you, dude. Stop that. I watch my big sissy. Can I share this, Anise Cole, please? I ain't hear you. You on mute.
I don't know what you're sharing.
I'm a story of your life, please.
Absolutely. I guess. I'm a public book.
It's a great story.
Probably
It's a
done
great
preached it.
story.
Okay. Okay. You hear me, April? Okay.
So Anise has an older son, Wellington. What's up, Wells? Wells, it took him a couple of days to figure out the thing we call adulting in life. But although she didn't like it and she wanted what was best for Wells, she stood right there and as God was holding her in his bosom, she was holding Wells in her bosom because she wanted the best for her child. Right?
Amen.
Easy story, see? Easy story.
Oh,
So
I got tons of them.
I know, trust me, I know. We've been family a long time now. Look, I ain't gonna even say them 4 powerful words, but isn't family great?
Oh, it's fabulous. Fabulous.
Man, I don't know where I'd be without you guys, man. Open your hearts, open your minds, and don't Black History ended. Today is the 25th.
No,
20
honey.
No, it did not.
Check the mirror.
Hey, can
Check
y'all
the
let me
mirror.
finish? Can
Check the
y'all not
mirror.
can y'all not cut me off?
No, we cannot.
During the month of February, I saw posts from February 1 to February 28th about all the greatness that happened in Black history. Nobody said stop. You guys just stopped. You stopped because you only believe that things about Black history are only supposed to be shared during the month of February. That's your failure. That's your failure. Don't continue to fail because you're afraid or you think that something can only is a word like ain't. It's small, but it used in the wrong way is super destructive. I think somebody really smart said this. Be the change you want to see. Every day, whether I want to or not, I have to evaluate the things that I do in my everyday life, and I have to look myself in the mirror to say, whether I'm being honest with me or not. If you're not willing to be honest with yourself, where does your growth happen? Where does your growth potential happen? How do you help someone else be successful? Because everything in this world is materialistic that you can't take with you. The only thing you can take to heaven with you is another soul. We can't hear you.
Say that again.
Yeah,
Only
you
thing
can.
to take to heaven is what?
Yeah, help another soul get to heaven.
But you can't take one there.
The same thing to me.
No, no,
Helping,
no, no, no,
helping
no,
somebody
no,
get to heaven and reach their
no,
potential.
no,
Yes,
no.
yes.
You gonna
What, you the Undertaker?
April, Chad, April, Chad,
Hey, hey, hey! I
April,
told you
Chad,
about daring me. Chadwick Wilson, you gonna stop daring me? I almost
April,
said, hell yeah,
April,
you gotta dare me.
Chad, April, Chad. We cannot sit here and let it go forth
What you
incorrect.
got on your head?
Who?
Mike.
I'm gonna have to give me one of them things.
Those are headphones. Control. Control.
He don't
Y'all,
need
hey,
nothing. He
hey,
don't need
y'all know I
nothing else
like
to help him
squinting
talk
just
loud.
to squint, right? Y'all see me squinting?
Okay,
I
I
ain't
have
finna
it on. I have it on every week. So what is he talking about?
He just
I
now
just
seeing
saw
it
that.
because he can't see.
Oh, normally I have my hair down.
Maybe that's good.
You see your
But hey,
buddy
y'all,
Mike?
I'm with and I'll text her later and tell her, but I'm really proud of the work we did on this subject. You know, no one did any bashing. We kept it classy, and I ain't do too much cursing tonight.
Did you expect it to be any other way?
Yeah, sometimes them adjectives just come out.
Well, see, the thing about it is when you think of crabs in the barrel, most people think of it as negativity. Actually, crabs in the barrel, if we begin to stack ourselves, you can get out one at a time. See, another one helps another one, and helps another one, and helps another one, and helps another one. That's how we get out.
Y'all heard that? Y'all heard the pastor, preacher, teacher? Y'all heard the pastor, preacher, teacher?
That's how we actually get out. And that's the way we've always been as a people.
Got it?
When I heard that story about how my uncles and they kept bringing one by one up, and then they all stayed in one apartment. All these bachelors stayed in one apartment, and then they began to fall in love and began to buy their own property and help each other buy a property. And they would co-sign for the other one to get a building, and this one to get a building, and this one get a home, and this one get a home, till they all had homes here, and they were set up. And I was like, y'all were little moguls doing it. And it was like, yeah, that's that, but that was the equivalent, and still maintain their parents' properties in Mississippi. I was like, wow,
That's
that's
it.
legacy. That's what's up.
And that's how you build legacy. That's how you build successful generations and generations and generations. Chad said earlier, one thing we're not taught about is life insurance and how that can be beneficial to us.
Oh
Because
yeah,
I ain't giving nobody no money when I die.
girl, I don't care what they do when I die. I want to know how to draw it now. I want to draw on my policy now, so they ain't got nothing but to bury me. That's all
So that means you need to have a whole life policy that accrues interest each month. So Hope laughs at me because this past Christmas, I said I ain't buying nobody nothing for Christmas. He was like, "Oh yeah, right. That's you just talking." Because I'm that grandparent. I'm that great grandparent. And so this year, only 2 people got something for Christmas. That was the 2 great grandchildren. Guess what they got? A $30,000
insurance.
whole life insurance policy. And I told their parent and their grandparent that by the time they turn 18, the interest on this should be phenomenal. But guess what? In order for it to continue to grow, somebody else got to put some in the barrel or in the pot and then keep that one growing. They
Yeah.
3-6 now.
Hey, I had the best conversation with a man. Y'all won't believe what the conversation took place, but I'm gonna tell y'all anyway. We were in the bathroom at a Love's Travel stop on my way to Tampa, and he was telling me that he got a IUL, I think it's called. It's some kind of annuity or something that he bought for his children when they were young. And he said by the time that his daughter had become an adult, she had $1.6 million in that trust, and she was only able to get the reoccurring interest off of it once she got enough out of it to buy her the house she wanted and the car she wanted. She wasn't allowed to get any more money off of it, but just live off that interest, and then hand that down to her kids. So I thought that was just the coolest thing. And like they said, if we do stuff like that, which is so minute, because we waste $40, $60 sometimes per week on stuff that we don't even need.
Oh yeah, and here's the thing: the whole life insurance policy that I bought them, they don't even total $30 together, and they pay that amount for the life of the policy.
I need to get one of them, baby girl. Hook me
You
up
ain't
with
gonna
your-
get one of them. You too old.
No, I'm talking about for my kids and my G babies.
Oh yeah.
And so these types of conversations are the conversations that we need to have with our, young professionals and cousins and our cousins' kids and so forth and so on. We need to have a lot of conversations about that, because these are the types of things that's going to be the difference between them having quality health care and not having quality health care. Being, like they always say, wills and bills. Some folks leave wills, other folks leave bills. So we need to have these conversations with our kids and our children about, so that they could be in a great place, when we're not here.
Absolutely. Hey, you guys, again, thank you guys for keeping it classy. Remember, if we help each other by putting each other on one shoulder, we don't have to be affected by the crab or crabs that are in the barrel. To thine
Come on,
own,
Chad.
to thine own self be true.
True.
To thine own self be true. Be the light,
Shine the light.
shine the light. You
No,
are the light.
no, you are the light. Be the light. Shine the light. How you
You
gonna
are
change
the
my
light,
whole?
be the light, shine the light. Say it with
Oh,
me.
look.
You are the light. Be the light.
Oh, my flashlight not working.
shine the light. Got that?
Wait a minute,
got
why
that?
my flashlight not
There you
working?
go. I got you, Elise.
Look at this fool come up with a phone like no battery at 8%.
Oh no, my phone always charged.
Okay, wait a minute. There you go. Wait a minute. I still can't get it. Hold on. I can't get it. Okay, there's my ring light. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ring light action.
Ring light action. I got two.
Yeah. Yeah, I ain't acting like I'm at the Maze concert, y'all. Y'all can forget about it.
Forget about it.
Y'all know at the Maze, for y'all that ain't never been to a Maze concert when they were really, when they were really, really good. I'm sure they're still good now. I haven't seen them in a while.
Absolutely. Frankie never loses it.
But you scratch the light. They make you scratch the light. You know to bring your lighter with you.
Oh, I got the lighter. I got the lighter.
Even people that don't smoke used to be having lighters in there. Right? So, hey, you are the light, be the light, shine your light.
There you go. I was gonna give me some fire.
man,
Mm-mm.
this means the world to me, man.
Especially when I
I
got work and homework, I still
yeah,
Circle love.
I say this at the end of every game I broadcast, and I just brought it over to the podcast side, man, because if you don't get your hind part off the bench, how you ever gonna get in the game of life to be successful? And that means a lot.
What's with the hoodie?
I don't know, man. Just I started feeling some type of way.
He about to cry, April. He about to cry,
I don't
Chad.
like y'all. Hey y'all.
Guys,
Thank y'all. Good night. Thank y'all. Good night. I love my life off the bench family. I love. I really gotta
a
go, y'all.
a teeny.
I ain't playing with you, woman. Good night, y'all. Love y'all.
Good night. Be good.